This program on investing under regulation crowdfunding is not investment advice.
Rising with the crowd, power unbound, change makers lead where hope is found. Superpowers for good, shaping the fate. Investors and dreamers open the gate. Supercross stands loud, proud and true, building tomorrow for me and you.
Welcome, everyone, to the Superpowers for Good show from the Super Crowd. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and I am so excited today. We have just a great human being on the show. She is the executive director of a nonprofit called the Gratitude Network that is really changing the game by bringing a social enterprise vision to nonprofit work. Her name is Lauren Reilly. Lauren, welcome to the show. We're thrilled to have you.
Thanks for having me, Devin. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, we are thrilled to have you here and look forward to this conversation. You are an amazing human being, and we'll talk more about you. But let's remind people about the Gratitude Network. What is it that you're running now?
Absolutely. So Gratitude Network is a nonprofit accelerator program. We identify 30 high potential nonprofit leaders who are serving children and youth across the globe. And we actually give them all the tools and resources they need to not only accelerate, but sustain their impact in their own community. So we provide them with an executive coach, right? One-on-one coaching. We provide them with a scale up curriculum. Almost think about it as a mini MBA. We put them in a peer cohort model. So as an entrepreneur, you never have to feel alone. And then we really lean into that last word, network. There is a network of organizations, corporations, individuals, and donors who are all supporting these Gratitude Network fellows so that they never feel alone. And the goal of the one-year fellowship is that you can really take that startup nonprofit and really expand their impact in their own local community.
You know, it is just a vitally important work because, you know, what drives an entrepreneur to start a nonprofit is usually a passion for solving the problem, right? It isn't the same entrepreneurial mindset that brings someone to build a for-profit business, usually, right? It's someone who, instead of thinking how to make money, they're thinking about how to solve a problem as the primary focus. And yet, every nonprofit is a business. There is a point in every nonprofit where the light goes on and they go, holy crap, I'm running a business.
That's exactly right.
You were a fellow. You were invited to go through the program. Tell us about your experience with that.
Absolutely. So I started my career, I taught 9th and 12th grade in the South Bronx, taught middle school in Harlem, realized very quickly that our schools are failing our Black and brown students, especially from underserved, under-resourced, and underrepresented communities. And so I jumped into the nonprofit world, probably because I like to paint outside the lines, and in traditional public schools, you can't do that. So went over to the nonprofit world where I could drive the kind of academic, but also the social and emotional learning goals that I wanted to see in my students. And so I had a great idea for a nonprofit. I knew it was going to work, right? I had the educator mindset. I knew I wanted to be, data-driven, but I had no idea how to run a business, right? I was a former teacher. We're really great with kids. We're really great with people. But the side of the business felt a little scary. And so I found out about Gratitude Network. And I still remember in my initial email to them saying, I've got a great idea and people are liking my idea, right? I wanted to basically show students what it was like to be a CEO. And I wanted to take them into companies so that they could truly feel what it's like to have a seat at the table. And so I remember asking Gratitude, I know nothing about business, but I have a hell of an idea. And can you give me a chance? And by doing the fellowship, I got paired with an executive coach who taught me all about earned income structures and how to build sustainability. I got connected and learned what a KPI was. And again, this sounds so silly looking back on it, but 10 years ago, these were all foreign concepts, right? How to create a P&L statement, how to build a team. What does an org chart look like? What should it look like? And kind of all the necessary steps that we think of when we're building startups. And because of the Gratitude Network, right, 5 short years later into my nonprofit, we were serving 21,000 kids across 7 different states, and we had grown 26x, which is incredible, from a $48,000 nonprofit to a $3 million organization working with over 100 Fortune 500 companies across the globe. And so I've drank the Gratitude Network Kool-Aid. I know what it did for me. And the cool thing is that Gratitude, there's over 240 organizations who have a very similar story to tell.
Wow. And so you're kind of, well, you are an alum.
Yes.
You had the whole experience. There's a question that, of course, is leaping to everyone's mind. What happened to your nonprofit now that you're Gratitude Network?
Absolutely. Right. As an entrepreneur, I think the most important and the most fun part of growing my nonprofit was seeing it grow. And now I'm so excited to say that that organization is thriving and doing really great. But we had everything in line, right? Everything, I'm a big believer in SOPs, right? Standard operating procedures. And I will say mine at my organization were top notch. And when Gratitude reached out and said, "Hey, Lauren, we need you to come home," right? We're doing some really great things at the organization, but we've got big dreams and big aspirations. And we think you're the one to come in and really build them and really build and activate all the incredible work we've done. But we know we have so much more work to do. And I know viewers at home, this is a big, bad, scary world out there. And when we think about, what is the world we want to leave to the next generation of children, we've got some work to do. And so the work is never finishes. And I'm so excited to be able to, again, build on the work that Gratitude has already done, but also amplify our impact across the globe so that any nonprofit leader serving children says, "Oh, I know I need to join Gratitude Network. They can help me make my business better, but also make sure that I can drive the outcomes that I want to build for, my students and my children that I'm serving."
Yeah. You went through the program when Randy was running it himself, I think.
Yes.
And so Randy, like you, kind of at your organization, has taken a little step back so that you can come in and run it. What do you hope to do to build on the legacy and take Gratitude Network kind of to the next level, if you will?
Yeah, something I always admire about our founder, Randy Haken, is, right, he worked in the for-profit world as an entrepreneur himself. And right, even the name Gratitude, right? If we all think about, right, viewers at home, we're coming up on We're coming up on Thanksgiving. We just had Thanksgiving, and now what are we grateful for, right? We're going into the holiday season. What do we need to pay forward? All the privileges we have. And that's exactly what our founder believed, right? He had a business background. And so how do we instill that business background in those who might not have it? And so, right, he still is our board chair, and it's been incredible to learn from him. But as I think about the legacy that he's built here, I really want to spend the next 3, 5, 10 years at Gratitude really emphasizing our global network, right? Our fellowship is a 1-year fellowship. And yes, we set our fellows up into the world so that they can go back and there's that ripple effect in their own community. But now, once you're a Gratitude Network alum, how do we continue to make sure that you feel supported after that, that initial year fellowship? And I mean, even people in the for-profit world who go to business school, the relationships you build in business school are so powerful, and they continue, right, to help you in the business world. How do we create that same experience for the nonprofit sector so that you have a whole network of people that have your back, but also that if you need help, oh, I got to go to Gratitude Network, I've got it covered. And if you are a donor or supporter of Gratitude Network, you really feel that we're fixing a broken nonprofit sector. And Devin, it's definitely something I wanted to touch on, right? A lot of donors feel like they really should just be donating to an individual nonprofit. And one of the things that I love about Gratitude is by, supporting Gratitude, you have the opportunity to, support not just the 30 organizations that are in our cohort, but also the 240 organizations who go through it, so that you really are, it's almost like a leveraged social venture, right? That you're able to continue to give and continue to support, and the outcomes are there every single year.
Yeah, it's an amazing ripple effect, isn't it? Right?
That's
It's
exactly.
an infinite ripple, really, that you're creating.
And I'll put that in perspective for you, right? Organizations that go through our program, they grow 3x on average after our organization, right? After they've worked with us, after they've gone through the gratitude fellowship, they've grown revenue by almost 40%. And on average, even 1 year post fellowship, they're serving an additional 2,300 children just by learning some of, again, the standard operator procedures, but also, right, how do you maintain quality while increasing quantity? And those are some of the things that we definitely promote in our fellowship.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Now, as you think about this important work that you're doing, what is the aspect of this that brings you the most sort of day-to-day satisfaction? What are you seeing on a day-to-day basis that gets you up in the morning?
Yeah. This happened even as an educator, but I think we see it now even more at Gratitude Network. It's that aha moment. And everyone has experienced this in their lives, whether it's what, if you think about, for viewers at home, you think about your children and that moment where they learn something new. And it's that light bulb that goes off in their head where, oh my gosh, I now know how to tie my shoe. Well, now imagine that you have taught a social venture in Kenya about how to streamline operations. And that, right, that entrepreneur now has that light bulb moment and they say, oh my goodness, with the $100 we just received, this is the amount of children we can now serve. And because of that new system that we built, we can automate that and do this again and again. And Devin, it goes back to that ripple effect. But that aha moment, whether you are a organization in Kenya or the Ukraine or London or Brownsville, Brooklyn, or Oakland, California, those aha moments, I speak for myself and my entire team, those are so special. Knowing that, hey, we just taught a skill that's going to be implemented across the globe with, millions of children. It really makes it easy to put your head on a pillow at night.
Yeah, that's great. Now, let's take a moment and describe the fellowship program in a bit more detail.
Yeah.
When I hear about these kinds of things as someone who would sometimes consider applying, I think, wow, I'm not sure I have time. I'm not sure I can afford the travel. Give us some sense of what is the time commitment, what is the travel required, how many days, and where do you go? Where does it operate? Give us some of those details.
Yeah, all the nitty gritty. So it is a virtual fellowship. We are serving organizations across the globe. We do meet in person every October. We do an annual summit where we bring together everyone, and that is covered by the fellowship. It's something that's really important to us, that we might build connections not just through the camera, but also in person. Social entrepreneurs are very big on professional development, but they always put themselves last. Right? You ask any nonprofit leader, oh yeah, what's your line item for professional development? And if they can, they will professionally develop their staff as much as they can, but rarely do they carve out time or funds to support them. So it's always really fun to be able to tell our fellows that, one, the program is 100% free, but two, hey, we're going to make this as easy as possible on you, but we are asking that you carve out the 4 hours a month, right, to actually go through the fellowship with us. And while 4 hours to viewers might seem like nothing, you have to remember a lot of nonprofits, lack of resources, number of staff you have, you're building the plane while flying it at all times. So 4 hours can even seem like a lot. And so we work really hard to make sure that our fellows feel incredibly supported. And we do that both by providing them the hard skills, right? That mini MBA, the actual business curriculum, so that they gain the business acumen to grow their business. But that actual executive coaching that they get, at least with other coaches, they're required to get at least an hour a month. I will tell you, almost all of our coaches end up saying, you want to talk to me 2 or 3 times a month, go for it. Let's schedule it out. And those executive coaches can be, the people 40,000 feet looking down, really promoting that leadership development. Right? A lot of our nonprofits don't have a background in managing a business, let alone managing a group of people.
Yeah.
And learning how to be a leader is hard.
It is. It is. I can only imagine. Well, listen, Lauren, we got to take a quick break here. Folks, I'm here today with Lauren Reilly. She's the executive director of the Gratitude Network. And we're going to take a quick break now. But when we come back, we'll talk to Lauren about her superpower. So stick around. You don't want to miss this.
Download a free copy of How to Make Money with Impact Crowdfunding. The book Sarah Hanks describes as
a fantastic overview, not just of crowdfunding investing, but of investing in general.
Andrew Savickas raved,
"This book offers unparalleled insights for anyone looking to make a difference."
Scan the QR code to get your copy.
Ready to take your small business to the next level? Honeycomb Credit empowers diverse entrepreneurs by connecting you with community-driven funding. Build customer relationships, amplify your brand, and grow with those who believe in you. Honeycomb Credit, where your community invests in you.
Scan the QR code to start today.
Join the Impact Crowdfunding movement. Get Superpowers for Good, your free daily newsletter with exclusive video replays, a podcast, and the latest investment opportunities open to everyone. Join the super crowd. Scan now so you can learn to make money while you make a difference.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm having so much fun just chatting today with Lauren Reilly, who is the head of the Gratitude Network, and she's an amazing human being. We're going to shift gears from talking about the Gratitude Network to talking about Lauren. So stick around. Lauren, you really are remarkable. You've proven that in so many ways, and Randy's choice to have you come and really take over in his place. Just, wow. It's hard to, limit the praise that represents. That it's just a huge, kudos. So as you think about, all the things you've done, what is your superpower?
I thought a lot about this, and we talk a lot about with our kids about this too. And if I truly hammer down what is my superpower, I think I am a mission-driven growth catalyst, right? What does it mean to truly inspire and execute on change, especially on a global scale? And I turn change makers into business owners. This is what I do. No matter the industry, I know how to take a small idea, right? And maybe nebulous, right? And how do you amplify impact? And that's something that I have done my entire career. And it brings me pride and joy, but it's also something that sets me apart from some of the other nonprofit executives that you see in this sector.
Yeah, it is great to be able to kind of inspire, catalyze growth and change. Can you think of a specific example, a specific time when you deployed this ability and you saw an outcome? And we've talked about your old enterprise. Maybe give us an example of another situation where you kind of did that.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the first nonprofits I worked with, the organization was called Practice, and we did summer school for New York City. And we had this idea of, okay, we would put college students in summer school programs, and all of a sudden we would eliminate the summer learning loss. And so, we tried it out in a couple classrooms, and I said, hey, if we start to build systems and processes to train these college students, there's 1.1 million children in New York City. 60% of them are below grade level. We've got some work to do. And so we started to build out training programs. And by the time, I was done there 5 years later, we were serving, again, over 50,000 students. And I think it's fun to be able to say, when you can build systems and processes, you can start to automate systems. And now all of a sudden you can impact more children. And God knows there's children too that need to be impacted, especially with the state of education and everything going on in the world.
Yeah, that's a great example. I mean, just really, I appreciate you kind of getting us into the weeds and seeing how this can be so powerful. Now, all of us would like to learn this, right? And it's difficult to emulate someone else at the level they do, but at the same time, all of us can improve, right?
Yeah.
We can add a skill that enables us to do something a little bit. How can we become more like you in this way? How can we catalyze the changes that you're kind of talking about? How do we do that?
Yeah, I think one of the first things that I see is really effective is naming what's going well, right? Whether it's your business or whether, hey, you're running a marathon and, hey, this part's really, really going well. And now thinking backwards, what are the clear steps and actions that needed to occur for that to happen? And I see this even when I was teaching, right? The end result, the kids did great on a test. Well, what are the, 3 to 5 things that I did leading up to that test for that success to happen? Success doesn't happen organically. Yes, sometimes it does, but a lot of times if you actually unpack that, and what we like to do at Gratitude Network is we call it postmortems, right? Whether it's a good outcome or a bad outcome, let's go backwards. What are the things that actually had to happen for that outcome to occur? And so a lot of times when we're thinking about creating a new process or creating a new procedure, a lot of it is taking a look, well, this is when we had success. Here are the things that we did. Now, how do you build a system and process? And then step 2, once you create that system and process, how do you train your staff? So it doesn't matter which staff member is there, so that they can implement that process at scale. And I think, again, working backwards with the end in mind has always been really, really effective.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. I wonder, can you think of any other tactics and tips to help us do that? Think a little deeper so that, we really can take away from our conversation today some actionable changes in the way we run our organizations?
Yeah, especially in the nonprofit sector and with startups right now, right? KPIs are a really big buzzword, and making sure that you're not just tracking your impact, but also your output. And so sitting down with your core team and figuring out, hey, what are the things that are really going to drive our business or our impact forward? And whether that's, right, you're thinking through your fundraising, you're thinking through your impact with your children, you're thinking about operations, you're thinking about your staff, right? You're thinking about all of the necessary pieces, and really sitting down with yourself, your team, your board, right? Whoever has skin in the game, and really laying out some very key actionable KPIs, right? Key performance indicators that are going to help you. And then from there, one of the things I really like that the Gratitude Network does, yes, we're tracking these things monthly, but we're also setting goals ahead of time, right? So that we know, hey, our goal is to have 12 months of runway. And, in January, how many months of runway do we have? Great. Now let's go on to February, and really making sure that we have super clear KPIs that can track our performance. That really helps us if we think about, okay, now we want to grow by 3x next year. How do I need to change my KPIs to make sure I get there? And how is the team successfully trained on them to make sure that they can do that as well? But that takes time and carving out time. I think that's something else that we talk about a lot of, if you want to grow, you have to carve out time in your day to think about growing. And I always encourage entrepreneurs to carve out so that you have 20% where you can think about those pie in the sky ideas.
Yeah, that is such a good reminder. As someone who runs a little business, it is really hard to make time for just thinking about the big ideas and getting to the next step and developing and implementing real strategies instead of just executing constantly, feeling like you're in the rat race and caught in the hamster wheel. So this great insights.
Absolutely.
Let's as we wrap up here, Lauren, I wonder if you would take a minute and just tell people how they can learn more about Gratitude Network. I want you to focus on 2 aspects. Well, let's call it 3. So first, how to apply to be a fellow and when that happens. Give people a sense of that. 2, let's talk about how to donate. Let's not leave a mystery around that. And then third, people want to be in touch with you personally because you're a rock star. And so tell people what's the appropriate way to contact you.
Absolutely. So again, always feel free to visit our website, right? gratitudenetwork.org. Our fellowship applications open every January for the next cohort. So definitely to encourage you to apply, go to our website and be able to apply there. We are always trying to figure out how do we get corporations and individuals engaged in our work. And so whether that's giving time, talent, or treasure, I highly, highly encourage you to reach out to me and say, hey, love what you're doing. I want to get involved. Lauren, sign me up, and I will figure out a way to get time, talent, or treasure from you. So you can always feel free to reach out. It's just lauren@gratitude-network.org. I would love to have more of these conversations. Maybe you want to help one of our fellows grow their next venture in another part of the world, right? All I do is I encourage you, lean into that word gratitude, right? What are you grateful for, and how do you pay forward that gratitude so that anyone who wants to build a social, right, venture has the skills and the opportunity and access to be able to do so.
Oh, fantastic. Lauren, thank you so much for being with us. We wish you every success in your new role at Gratitude Network.
Thank you so much, Devin. Enjoy, everyone.
All righty. Now let's do some good.